Well, a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to round number 7. When it's Thursday night, even. So it's DTR time for Division 2. As I say, round number 7. We're coming from what looks like a very wet Portimao for qualification this week. First driver out is Ralph, so I'm sticking with him, although just behind him he has Hummer as well. So the two AlphaTauris going out early to clear some of the water. I think the normal strategy on qualifying of this type is just to put a bit of extra fuel in, go out on the inters, pretty much use them as sighter laps, try and push each lap and see how the conditions go, and then come in for a sorry, just reading the chat, come in for a fresh set and go for your final run. Just reading the chat, looks like it's a wet qualifying, a dry race, but with potential wet parts. So I don't know if that's going to mean a dry start, turning wet back to dry, or what. I know last night in Division 1 we had rain round about the last 7 laps, 7 or 8 laps. It just didn't get heavy enough for the inters until probably 3 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go. Then it was pretty treacherous on the dries, but once you've committed that far, you kind of have to see it out. But obviously this one is going to be what looks like a completely wet qualifying. So say Ralph will be putting the benchmark down, but yeah, 79% chance of rain, so it looks like it's going to continue through qualifying. In the race, looks like about a 9% chance of showers, so I think we're pretty much going to be dry. See, so right, Ralph coming around turn number 13 up to turn 14, long looping right-hander, then with a short straight and a flat out in the dry right-hander here, but you do need to feather ever so slightly in the wet conditions, and then you flat out again down the start-finish line. 126.3 Hummer. Did he not settle up? No, he invalidated. Right, so who is next? Let's jump on with, I think it's going to be Bog first of the McLarens coming through. I'm going to miss one of the Williams, I think, but they might be on an outlap. So Bog now coming round. I think he's on just a double outlap. Just exciters as they're looking at the amount of ERS he has, with a 26.1. That was a pretty quick sighter if that's what he fancied. And championship leader Hammers coming round now. Let's see what marker he can pop down, 25.1. So there we go, just a second quicker. Here we go, leading the championship. Follow me, thank you very much. So who do we have next? We've got one of the Astons, Havoc just starting, and we've got Brother Adam coming around to complete a lap. Excuse me. And 27.042, slowest of the lot so far, but as I say, just a lot of sighters going out, people just treading in, getting used to the conditions. We've got one of the AlphaTauris improving, 26.1, still second behind, but Skipper straight up there with 25.8. Skipper, very experienced driver. Okay, we have Bob. Oh, it looks like we've lost Composite a little bit further back there. Just see him. Just having a bit of an excursion. But let's join a lap with Bob. We're getting some nice scenic views. So Bob was the came up with the idea of the setups channel that we've recently done. Just obviously, as he rightly said, you know, some people don't understand race and TT setups. Now, I'm no expert whatsoever, but I've had a bit of success with tinkering, so I'll happily each week post on the race setup, sort of the standard ones with from our new partner Track Titan, who you would have seen in the intro there. So yeah, hopefully it will help people out, but always just use it as a base. You know, you need to fine tune it yourself. It's a setup that works for one person doesn't necessarily work for somebody else, so it is something that you still need to play with and find your sweet spot. But anyway, Bob now coming round the final bend. Let me see what he can pop down. Completely missed Hummer, putting in 24.8 up there. So Bob 25.7, so that's his initial sighter out of the way. I think Bog's going to be next to come onto the start-finish line. That was a slower lap by him, but I think it's, again, it's times don't matter so much in the wet to start with. It don't matter in the dry, to be honest. It's always at the end that matters. But Hammer's 26.141 down to a 25.126. Oh no, it was a 26 on that last one. So sorry, I'm talking out of my posterior. Okay, who is next? So Connor has pitted. I think we've got his teammate, Brother Adam, is next round. Good grip coming around that final corner there. We'll see what. Oh, mind you, 134.6. Slower lap there. Okay, the Alpha Tauri's starting to come in now. And I think his teammate Hummer, who's doing 24.8, also into the pits. So the track getting quicker. Hammer's unable to improve on his initial 25.1. Hummer getting used to the conditions a bit, down to 24.8. Then we've got Connor currently in third, Bulk in fourth, Bob Spun in fifth, sixth Brother Adam, seventh Skipper, eighth Ralph, ninth Pavlosidor, 10th Man Like Donkey. Double the last of the drivers to set a time. Composite not setting one yet, on his out lap now. Hammer's 24.882. My God, that couldn't be closer. What's that? Two thousandths of a second. Right. Bog is following through the sector just to see what his time is. Double just about to set a time. What does he do? Does he improve? No, doesn't improve on his 26.2. But Bog ever so slightly down on his time, so needs to find a little bit more to push himself ahead of Connor. Bob's run with a 24.334. Cracking lap there, Bob. So Bog bolts that and comes in, but Bob putting in a stellar lap there, 24.3. An improvement of nearly a second and a half on his previous time. So I think he is getting used to the conditions. And I think he'll have a decent setup this week as well. So hopefully he'll be battling at the front of the grid. But we've also got to think not many people will have wet setups if the race is going to be dry with the potential just a shower of 9%. Majority of people will suffer the consequences in qualifying to have a good race car. Skipper do. No, Bob will be in front. Is he up on his time? No, he's way down on his time. So he's done his fast lap and going to probably come into the pits. for a breather and put a fresh set of tyres on. So Skipper now coming around the final corner complex, beyond to the long start finish line, see what drive he gets out of it. Quite good. How does he do going around here? Is he flat? He eases off just ever so slightly, just a small lift, nothing too major. Good control and crosses the line with a 25.1, pops him up into 4th place. Bob up front. Why am I not watching you? Could you just put in a 24.334? That's half a second quicker than Hummer on his 24.8. So Hummer now on an outlap. You might stay on board with Hummer actually, see what kind of time he can pop in. But yeah, cracking time out front by Bob, 24.334. Hummer 24.8, so a half a second difference there. And Hummer has eased off now, he hasn't got anyone behind him, so he'll just ease off and go for a run. And in front here we've got Ralph. Them down, but I think that was another sort of sighter lap really. Double 26.2, hasn't improved on that as of yet. Alpine or Alpine. Moving out of the way. Nicely, good to see. Got good racing etiquette, Pavlosidor. I've noticed that over the last few races that he'll okay, might not be the fastest driver, but he is improving round by round. But one thing you can't fault is he will get out of the way, and that's so good to see. Connor, right? Connor is going into the pits. There might have been a speeding in the pit lane in the race, but obviously you can get away with it in qualifying. Brother Adam, this one he's got a pump in here, 25.0, up into 4th place. So he's got more than that in him. I know Brother Adam has. Pretty sure he's at a pole position this year. I have to have a little look now whilst we're. Actually help if I open the right thing, but I'll have a look in a bit anyway. But I'm pretty sure he has, but I know he's had them in the past, so it can be quick over 1 lap. Hammers, we'll see how he's doing. Carrying around the top section there, and I'm going to switch to Bog quickly, who's just about to cross the line, but Hammers is down on his time. Bog is up by nearly half a second, so Bog going to be up into the 24s. So it could pop in, I should pop it back into about 4th place. Oh, bit of a twitch there for him, he's going to lose a little bit. We'll see if he can still get an improvement on that. 25.1, so yeah, losing sort of another 2/10 of a second in that final sector, but it shows he's got it in him. Excuse me. So who do we have behind? So Brother Adam. That double, is he in trouble? Double in trouble? Or is he just, I think he's just keeping himself out of the way. Okay, so who do we have? The Williams of Composite on his outlap. Did set a time, 26.8, so has a banker on the board. Skipper also on an outlap. Let me try and find someone who is not on an outlap. Bob is invalidated, so he will go again. So we'll keep an eye on Bob in a minute. 2 minutes left, so we've got a lap and a bit before the flag comes down. Purple middle sector there by Hammers. Takes this well, carrying the speed well onto the throttle nice and early, but not too early because the back drops out, and turns in nicely here. Ease that throttle on, we'll see how he does around the final bend here. Again, small lift off, just enough to keep control. Onto the start finish line, what is he going to pop it? A 24.355 by 0.021 behind this time. It's been very, very close already, 0.002. Now I'm not quite as close, but nevertheless closing in on Bob Spun. Bob Spun not having a good time on this lap by the looks of it. Has Donkey is on an out lap. Sorry, between them. Okay, composite. He's up on his time, and not hugely. That's no increase in position for him. Hummer just starting his lap. We've then got the Williams of Skipper. No, we haven't. We had the Alpine of Padlosador. And then Skipper come across 24.7. Third place for Skipper there. Quality laps there. Brother Adam, next one I have it Connor's on an out lap. Then we've got, is it Bob? Yeah, Bob will now be starting. He'll have the Hammer down. Talking of Hammer, we've got Hammers just behind. Has invalidated. Bob just ahead of him. Now starting what will be his last lap. Man like Donkey and Hammers cannot set any more time, so Hammers will qualify no better than second. It's still not bad at all, but we'll jump on board with Bob to see how he gets on going through sector 2. Difficult section in the dry, this, let alone in the wet. Basically undulations, and the braking points can be pretty difficult to spot sometimes, especially here because it's right at the top of the hill. You have to hit the apex and then you're looking at straight onto the brakes, but also trying to turn into the right, so it's very easy to lock up or run wide. But purple middle sector there for Bob. Certainly has his foot down, and I've bloody missed Hummer as well, 23.8, so down into the 23's cracking lap by him. So Connor up to 24.1 as well. Bob 23.863. I thought I was staying on with the pole lap there, right? It's Dr. Bogarovsky who has aborted by the looks of it. So Skipper the only one. Skipper's having issues there. Not quite sure where Skipper's going. Oh, he's trying to rejoin track, so he's a bit of it off there and trying to get back on safely from an awkward position. So very well done there by Skipper. Nothing more than I'd expect, but obviously trying a little bit too hard on that final lap and binned it. So Hummer sneaking out of nowhere, unbeknown to me whilst I was watching somebody else, with a 23.852 to take pole position. So in second place was Bob Spun, and Havoc Connor in third, and Hammers rounding out the top 2 rows. So we'll just run through them here. So Hummer taking that pole position. Not quite sure how many he's had. I'll have a check in a minute. Bob Spun in second, third, Havoc Connor fourth. Hammers fifth goes to Skipper, sixth Brother Adam, seventh Pavlosidor, eighth Bogarovsky. Looking good for Bog at one point, but I think he just made a little mistake on his final lap there, but could have been, I think, up round about fourth or fifth place. Ralph in ninth, 10th to Man Like Donkey, 11th for double, and last place, which is disappointing, 12 drivers tonight, but 12th place composite there.
It's time to hit the track then, as we embark upon another thrilling round of Formula One racing at the Algarve International Circuit. Welcome to the Portuguese Grand Prix. So Portimao features 15 turns over the course of its 2.9-mile length. 9 are right-handers, 6 are to the left. This is a track with a lot of uphill action, which only accentuates the importance of getting those exits right, especially at turn 4, where a good line can present opportunities to pass on the way into turn 5.
Well, welcome back everybody. As you can see, we're just waiting for the drivers to choose their strategies. Obviously a couple of changes, certainly on probably the front wing after qualifying, just to set themselves up for the race. Be interesting to see what strategy people have gone for. Let's have a look. Tyres, we have medium softs. Basically that is the strategy here, medium to soft tyres without a safety car. Obviously you need to stretch your softs or your mediums pretty much to the limit. They'll be up in sort of the high 50s, 60%, so you're not going to have the most grip at the end, but obviously with one pit stop left, that's about a 26 to 30 second saving. So it can be worth it, but yeah, certainly medium to softs. So the soft runners do have the choice. So if we've got Skipper, does have the choice if there's an early safety car jumping onto hards and taking them to the end, but the hards are horrible round here. Bogorovsky, bless him, got caught on a set of hards yesterday waiting for the rain to come in Division 1, and the rain it came in too late for him really, and not hard enough. He could have taken his hards to the end, I think, but obviously had to make the pit stop for a different compound unless it's declared a wet race. So so yeah, hards not really the tyre to be on. Medium softs are the option. So soft runners, we've got Skipper, Pavlosidor, Ralph Albers, and then the back two of double and composite. Everybody else going for the medium tyre. Okay, whilst we're waiting for the grid to form up, we'll have a quick word from our sponsor. Yeah, as you can see, we have a small partnership now with Track Titan. Obviously, you would have seen the announcement recently. Would encourage you to download it. It's always beneficial just to see where your braking points can be different. If you're looking to improve, obviously if you're just doing it for fun, that's great as well. But if you are looking to improve, then it is quite a good tool that will help you sort of figure out perhaps where you can get on the accelerator a bit quicker or the brakes later, as well as sort of help with setups, etc. So well worth it there. But anyway, back to the action. We have 4 red lights, 5 red lights. Lights are out and away we go. Let's see, try and get a decent camera angle. And it looks like a cracking start by Hammers up the inside there. And he is up the inside of Bob. Little bit of contact there, and unfortunately Hammers moving back down the grid. Don't think he has any damage other than probably to a bit of pride there and maybe a flat spot on the tyres, but a lot of rebuilding there for him to do. Ralph, the biggest gainer so far, up 4 positions. Skipper up 2, Bob spun, and Hummer keeping position, but Hummer getting a good drive out of there and actually pulling out of 1 second gap already. It can be a bit of a DRS train here. You really need to line it up out of the corner and just try and get yourself a slingshot out of the corner onto the straight, and then you can make the overtake. But the problem is, the majority of the time you're just stuck in a train and you can't even get that good drive out of the corner. So sometimes better to back off and then attack, and you can find that opportunity rather than sitting on somebody's gearbox. But right, okay, back to the race. Hummer. Oh, brother Adam, 10-second penalty. What happened there? Oh dear. Okay. Oh, that's a good drive coming out of there from Ralph, who had some good speed. I think with obviously with the DRS would have made a huge difference there. I think he would have been past Connor. Okay, so further back we've got the McLaren teammates currently stonking or storming away with the championship. So both have been very consistent, scoring good points. Sorry, I'm struggling here. We've got a bit of a tangle going on there. I think that was Connor, unfortunately. No, it was Pavlosidor. Have caught up in a bit of trouble. Rejoins nice and safely, though, I have to say. Again, I'll compliment his racing etiquette because it is very good. Right, let's get rid of the intervals now as we are up and running. See if there's any decent exterior camera shots. But Hummer pulling out a 1.2 second gap already. I say with DRS not being enabled until this lap, he has put himself out of the detection zone. So that is going to make Bob Spun vulnerable to Skipper, Connor and Ralph just behind. Don't forget the McLaren boys aren't too far back. We should get the timing sorted out at the end of this lap. Long-standing bug with the F1 game that they did sort out, but then decided to bring it back. I think it was a missed feature where you couldn't obviously tell who was in what position. So anyway, moving on, enough of my rambling. Hummer 1.5 seconds clear now, so really does have his foot down, but is he taking life out of those tyres, which I can't remember what everybody's on. No, he's on the same as Bob Spun, so Skipper expect to be up there on the softs. Ralph also having a really good start so far, up into 5th. There's only 12 drivers this week. It's a bit disappointing, but people do have other commitments. Nevertheless, we've got both Ferrari drivers missing tonight, so a bit of a shocker for the Tifosi there. But hopefully they'll be back next week and for the remainder of the season. Obviously, this being the first round of the second half of the championship. 10 rounds, this being round number 6. Next week we are off to Suzuka in Japan. But still a long way to go in this race yet, 29 laps. Bob is closing that gap in slightly at the front. Go down to about 1.2, but it's sort of eking out again now. Skipper just falling a bit further back from Ralph. Needs to get that gap down to under a second, otherwise he's going to be vulnerable from the McLarens who are sniffing around behind him here. Bobrovsky in 6th, his teammate in 7th. A bit of a twitch there from Connor. Ralph getting that corner ever so slightly wrong. Oh, so that would give Skipper a good run, but he's a bit too far back there. Skipper getting a good exit, so he is clear of Bobrovsky. Obviously the DRS will be open. DRS and ERS. We'll see if we get any overtakes at all. Bog is closing. Do we get an overtake? Bogorowski just says thank you very much, I'm gone. But he's starting to flash now, so he has used quite a lot of ERS to get himself back up to this point, but it's not overly difficult to regenerate your ERS around this track. It's not the easiest either, but it is pretty possible. So Hammers is going to be the next to line up a move on the Williams of Skipper. Goes ever so slightly wide there. I'm not sure if he'll pick up a warning. I don't think so, because he didn't gain anything, but you never know with this game. So anyway, going to jump back to the front because Connor has now closed right in on the back of Bob Spun again, and he's brought Ralph with him. So if these three could work together, they could close that gap to Hummer and become a quartet of a fight for the lead. Softs normally last about 12 laps. You can stretch them out to about 15 depending on how kind you are on your tyres, and obviously with track temperatures and you know, taking bits into account, but you can stretch them out. So Ralph should be able to fight this for a few laps. But up front, Hummer is saying thank you very much for this little battle, because it is enabling him to pull away. Skipper dropping just a little bit off the back of Bogorowski now and coming under pressure from the second McLaren of Hammers. So Hammers is our championship leader. I was going to get the stats up, but now I've completely messed it up. So let me see if I can. Hammers leading the way, 96 points for McLaren. Bob Spun in second with 64 points. So it's looking good for Bob at the moment, with a chance of closing that gap down. Currently 32 points, which it sounds a lot, but it can be, you know, one bad race for one and a good race for the other, getting 25 points and maybe one for the fastest lap, and all of a sudden it's from 32 you're down to just 6 points. It's quite scary how quickly it can change, to be honest. But anyway, Hammers is now past Skipper up into 6th. We have another overtake down here, Brother Adam and Composite. So Brother Adam up into 10th place. So not a good lap for the Williams guys there. Hammers now past Bog. I think that was I won't say team orders, because we don't call them team orders. I think it's a probably a teammates understanding. But we'll see how quickly Hammers can close down that 3.1 second gap to Ralph, and whether he can drag Bog along with him. But Hummer out front has played a blinder so far. Just got pole position, pulled away, just keeping himself out of trouble, and has nearly a 2.5 second lead, with the cars behind fighting. Connor going for the inside there and takes second place into turn 1. Bob Spun down into 3rd. Ralph looking very racy behind. Let's jump on board with Ralph so we can see this battle unfold in front of us. So Ralph's probably, I think the tyres are probably pretty equal at the moment. The softs are obviously starting to drop off, and the mediums starting to come into their prime a bit more. Look at that gap. Hammers down to 1.5 already because of this fighting, but also because of Hammers' pace. But that's, I think, 1.8 seconds we've closed in a lap. We've got a yellow wipe, we've got a yellow. Brother Adam having a moment. Coming out of turn number 8, I think it was. So right, let's jump back here. But yeah, Hammers now nearly within the DRS of Ralph, going for the move on Bob, and makes that stick. So Ralph up into the final podium position on those 8-lap-old softs, and then just behind we have Bob Spun now coming under pressure from the McLaren. I think Bog's just starting to struggle a little bit for some reason. I don't know why. I can't see. I don't think he's got any damage. No, front end plates are there. Wonder if it could be an element of fuel saving or whether he's just going through a bit of a graining stage on his tyres. But also playing the long game. But here we have the two championship leaders. Currently in 4th and 5th. I mean 3rd in the championships. Brother Adam, he's not having a brilliant race so far, down in 10th. A couple of spins has put him at the back, but I say one safety car and you are back in it. 4th place in championship. Bog currently in 6th place here. And Hummer leading, he's next in 5th in the championship, currently 52 points behind Hammers. But as I say, that is closable, and I mean certainly if you can get 3 seconds ahead and side by side into turn 1 and 2, and Hammers takes the position ahead of Bob's Bun, so Hammers will now be on the hunt for Ralph ahead. Connor actually maintaining that gap to Hummer, so it's not... Oh, Hammer's going wide there. Has he lost the place back to Bob's Bun? He has. I think Hammer's just outbraking himself going into turn number 5. So point gain, position gained, position given back again. So Hammers has that all to do again. But I think he probably will be able to line this up on the start-finish line. Bob's with a fair amount of VRS though, so can defend this out if he needs to. So Bob lurking under a second now, further back, so he will have DRS. Looking to make the move and pulls out of the slipstream. DRS and ERS assisted and makes the move down into turn number 1 cleanly. So we see if he can keep himself ahead this time. So again, Hammers has 1.7 seconds to Ralph ahead of him. Obviously Ralph's softs are going to be starting to struggle a little bit more with the wear, 10 lap old wear. I'm not sure what percentage they'll be at, probably approaching 40%, if not a bit higher. So Bob not letting go of Hammers, but Bog now, I think he can smell 5th position. Having a look to see who has some warnings. Havoc is on 2 warnings currently. Then Ralph on 1. Hammers has 1 as well. Brother Adam obviously with that 10-second penalty at the beginning, but obviously that could potentially get revoked depending on the circumstances if he submits that to the stewards. They'll have a look at it. If it was something unfair or if it was a stupid game penalty, then that can potentially be removed. So you won't serve it in the pits. You can only do 5 seconds, can't you? So I'll keep an eye on that. If he ends up with a massively long pit stop, then there's nothing we can do about it. But so this is the closest battle we've got going on at the moment. Hammers is closing that gap down on Ralph, down from 1.7 down to 1.1. Probably a couple of laps are in, about 0.3 of a second a lap. But then saying that, Hammers is massively quick going around that corner. I think Ralph is struggling for grip in the high-speed corners. Hammers less than a second behind. Connor does pick up his third warning and gets a penalty. We do now have a four-way battle for the final podium position. Obviously still a long way to go, 21 including the lap that we are on. So a long way to go yet, and potential of a sprinkling of rain. But Ralph doing well to maintain that speed, although he has dropped 3 seconds now behind. This is where he seems to lose it to Hammers, is in the high-speed corners here, and unfortunately there are some pretty key ones at Portimao. Is Hammers going to have enough to go for a move? Ralph, he hasn't got any ERS either, so he's a sitting duck really. Okay, right, Hammers, this is your chance to break. If you've got Ralph behind going a bit slower, he can create that buffer gap to Bob Spun that you would need to break out of the DRS zone. But Ralph is saying, not today, thank you. You're not getting away that quickly. And he's really sticking with him, and he's dragging the other two with him. So we've got a fine four-way battle here. Hummer just disappearing up front, extending that gap out to nearly 3 seconds. Connor in that second place, but has picked up a 3-second penalty. So would still keep him second ahead of Hammers. But Hammers, I think he'll be closing that gap down. Mind you, on the same tyre. We'll see. It'd be good to see Connor doing well, having a bit of luck. He's had a bit of an unlucky season so far. Who was that was around? Bob Spun. Oh, what happened there, Bob? Was part of that four-way battle going on. I wonder if he might have had some contact with either Bog or Ralph. I think it might be... No, Ralph's pitted. Oh, I don't know, but Bob can continue anyway. I mean, he's dropped a good few seconds, but looks undamaged, and I think he's got the pace to get himself back into the race, or to his teammate now ahead of him. But looking great again for the McLaren boys, jumping up into 3rd and 4th. Just worked their way happily. 7th and 8th they were earlier, and then 6th and 7th, 5th and 6th, and simply moving up in tandem. So just a couple more places to go until I'm sure they'll be completely happy. 1st and 2nd place, I think they'd take that. Let's give a bit of airtime to Hummer. He's I don't want to put any curse on him at all, but he was fastest in qualifying with a lap that I completely missed, but was a pretty good effort to put himself onto pole position. So he has had one. I'm sure he's had some before. Let's have a look, see if I can get Hummer's stats up, and we can actually all have a quick look at it. There we go. So no, it was his first pole position. There we go. Well, congratulations. 1 pole position to go with his 1 win, his 1 fastest lap. So well done. I honestly thought he had one before, but apparently not. So well done on your maiden pole position. But yeah, looking quite comfortable. Nearly a 3-second gap over Connor. I say Connor obviously having that 3-second penalty as well. So theoretically, Hummer has a, well, pretty much nearly a 6-second lead over the next car. There we see how long they are going to take the tyres. I think we, a lot of people were pitting now last night. Some of us stretched them out to about lap 19, 20 and then changed onto the softs. Again, there was the threat of rain, so we were holding out as much as we could just in case it came. Obviously unsure as to the intensity or exactly where in the race it was going to come, but we knew it was coming. But unfortunately, we had to pit, so onto the softs. But as I say, we didn't change onto the inters for the rest of the race. But yeah, looking at the weather forecast, I can't see that we're going to have any rain at all, so it's going to be a completely dry session. So pit stop wise, we have had, so Ralph, Skipper, Double Pav and Composite have all stopped. The top 7 started on the mediums and are still on the mediums. So Man Like Donkey doing a stellar job, working his way up into 5th place ahead of his teammate Bob. So Bob looked very threatening on pace at one point, but he just seemed to have a drop off. Not sure if potentially he's got damage or might have had fuel issues, or as I say, the tyres sometimes go for a bit of a graining patch. They do come back, but you can just lose trust in them and your pace can drop off. But hopefully he can work his way back up. I see here 12 starters. We've got 12 runners still. Obviously with a smaller grid it does limit the chances of a safety car. So when is everybody going to pit? Let's have a quick look at the penalties. 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, and that 10-second for brother Adam. So not really a lot to commentate on at the moment because nobody is really that close. Although Ralph is closing on the rear end of brother Adam, obviously with those fresher tyres. And Hammers is into the pits. Let's see what tyres Hammers decides to go for. Be surprised if it is anything other than the soft tyres. Boom, set softs. Off he goes. Right, so we need to keep an eye on the pace of Hammers now. Man Like Donkey also into the pits to strap on a set of soft tyres. I expect the others to follow suit fairly soon because the time difference undercut can be huge, especially if you're going onto the soft tyres. You can lose so much time. So that 3-second gap that Hummer thinks that he had, or 6 seconds that he thought he had on Hammers, if he leaves it too long, that will be gone. Yes, he'll have fresher tyres towards the end of the race, but it's easier to overtake when someone's in the pits than it is to overtake them on track. So Ralph did get past brother Adam. Apologies Ralph for skipping that. Just inquiring as to what tyres they were going to go on. I do wonder if Bog might come in this lap. He does, yep, so splitting, well, same strategy, but splitting the laps. Hammers coming in first being the lead car, but also Bog being the gentleman that he is will normally allow his teammate in before him. Good stop there by Bog, so we'll see where he'll come out. I think he's going to plot out 7th, about 8th position. I think he might just get overtaken. Is he out before Skipper? Oh, no. Caught behind Skipper. So a bit of work there to do for Bog, but is on the quicker tyres. Right, so hopefully we'll start seeing a bit of battling now where we've got some tyre differences. Hummer has pitted onto the soft tyres and come out in 2nd place. Bob being very persistent on those mediums. But I think he will be coming in at the end of this lap. Give himself 12-13 laps on the softs. As I say, will have the fresher tyres, so be quicker at the end, but track position is very important. So is Bob going to come in now? He is. So Bob into the bits, slowed down enough, which he does. Right, so Hummer is going to come round to retake the lead. A lot of cars coming in, and we've got a big gaggle down there I was trying to get to, but I couldn't. This is where I wanted to be, because Ralph, we almost had an AlphaTauri 1-2 there, but Ralph getting overtaken by Connor down the start-finish line. Double and Brother Adam exchanging position. Oh, it's because of the pits. Right, let's jump back to the front here then. When I say front, it's the battle for 2nd place. And Hammers is in there. Bog still stuck behind Skipper at the moment. Skipper is not easy to overtake. He's a canny old fox, knows a few tricks. Keep an eye on Bog as well, on Skipper, because Bog needs to get past Skipper. Already got an 8-second gap to his teammate in front. That might be a bit of a stretch to close, but then if we do have these three battling, potentially two things are going to happen. Bog is going to close up. Hammers is so much quicker. So Hammers up into the final podium position. Ralph on 7-lap old mediums, but another 11 laps to go, so 18, he'll be fine on those. But perhaps just going through that struggling stage at the moment, and 3-lap old softs will always be the better tyre. Bog, apologies, I missed your overtake there on Skipper. I'm assuming it was down the start-finish line. But Bog now already 1.2 seconds clear of Skipper, and he'll be on the hunt for Ralph. So Hammer's looking to close that 1.3 second gap down on Connor, and then he'll have Hummer in his sights. So Hummer does have one race win to his name already. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to turn that into number 2. Quick look at Hammers, who's had 9 wins, 3 pole positions and 7 fastest laps. So yeah, a bit of a different inexperience there. Gap now 1.2 second. Man like Donkey now closing in on the back of Skipper. So those soft tyres are going to be nice and quick, certainly quicker than the mediums for the first few laps. But there will be a leveling off process. Man like Donkey going in. Probably a little bit too late on Skipper there. Skipper firmly shutting the door. Right, gap at the front. Still a second and a half from Hammers to Connor. 3.4, nearly 3.5 between Hummer and Connor. So Hummer stretching that lead out again. Man Like Donkey now closed back on the rear end of Skipper. Will look to make an overtake down the start finish line. Just looking at the DRS, looks like Skipper has none, flashing away there, and behind Man Like Donkey has DRS and ERS, and that was an easy overtake in the end. So Man Like Donkey up into 6th position, Skipper down into 7th. Starting to I wouldn't say struggle because he's on the medium, so he's got a few more laps to go for that. But I think, as I say, just might be going through a wearing patch and getting used to it, but losing a few positions there. Bob will be the next to challenge him. Currently he's under 2 seconds now, so he is on a roll. And Skipper not giving up on the hopes of getting past Man Like Donkey yet. And there we go. That's him past Man Like Donkey. Who had a bit of a twitchy moment there, which has allowed Bob Spun to close up. So we now got a three-way battle for 6th position. Like good battles. It was getting a bit boring earlier. If I was separated by 2, 3, 4, 10 seconds, it was. Needed a bit of spice, and it seems like the pit stops has livened it up ever so slightly. So Hammer's losing time on Connor, and Connor's losing time on Hummer at the moment. So top 3 still pulling away from the rest of them, but Man Like Donkey back past Skipper now after that small mistake with his teammate Bob Spun just behind. I'm sure he'll be wanting to get past the Williams as quick as he can. He has the freshest tyres of everybody other than Brother Adam, currently down in 10th. So Adam currently scoring 1 championship point to add to his total. Not going to help his championship that, but as I say, it can change so quickly. 1 DNF and someone running away with it can be reeled back in. I think Bob is lining up the overtake down the start-finish line. He'll then go on the hunt for his teammate. But I think after that might be a bit of a stretch, but there's 6 seconds up the road for Bob. On the same tyres, yeah, a couple of laps different. There we go. And through, there is nothing Skipper could do about that. So he is low on his ERS. Didn't have DRS, so was pretty much a sitting duck. So Bob Spun catapults Skipper up into 7th position. Also now closing right onto the back of his teammate, just half a second behind Man Like Donkey. We'll keep an eye on that battle. Hammer's not making a massive amount of inroads into Connor. So gap's been consistently round about sort of 1.3 to 1.6 seconds. Sort of concertinaing there, but Hummer is steadily opening that gap at the front. 4.1 seconds clear of Connor now. Can't even, there we go. Literally Connor was just coming into the shot then, so he's a long way back. So that 3-second penalty as well would drop Connor down into 3rd position. But I'm sure he'd be thrilled with the podium. If you'd have offered it to him before the race, he would have bit your hand off. But I think when you've raced so well and you're sitting yourself in second, that 3-second penalty can be an absolute killer. But then all he needs is another 1.5 seconds pulled out on Hammers and he'll be there anyway. So brother Adam and Double exchanging positions. I really have not given Double much airtime at all today. So it's been a bit of a tough race for him. So lovely guy was taken out by his teammate in Australia whilst leading. Not his teammate, sorry, but his probably his best friend. So not had the luckiest of seasons, but nevertheless he keeps trying. I'll take my hat off to him. And Pavlosidor, I've mentioned him and his racing etiquette. It's good to see, as he's had a couple of offs and he has kept himself well out of the way and safe rejoins the track, as was Composite earlier when he spun as well. So got a good bunch here. I always enjoy watching Division 2. So it'd be nice to see a full grid. So hopefully next week we'll have some of the drivers back, certainly the Ferrari boys. I know Scully wasn't available today either. And Bajar Panti as well wasn't available because of time zones and work patterns. It's not always possible to make it, but it is great to have you all here when you can make it, and it's a pleasure to talk for over an hour about you. So having a look, Hammers has now closed that gap in a little bit of 1.2, 1.1. So I think he might be on a bit of a late charge, but whether he could then close down a 4-second gap to Hummer, I am not sure. But again, if you can get past Connor and put some pressure on, Hummer might make a mistake and pick up a penalty. I'm not sure how many warnings he has. No warnings at all, so yeah, you'd have to really put him under pressure. But to be honest, he's got himself out in front. He can pick his line, doesn't really have to fight, so there's no reason to pick up penalties really. And Hummer proving that with no warnings, no penalties, so hats off to him. Ralph has 2 warnings. Connor has 5, but obviously already has a 3-second penalty, so he's got 2, so he'll be on his last warning. Hammers with just the 1 so far. Okay, looks like the McLaren boys are on the move because they are both closing in to within a second of the car in front of them. Bolger may have a slightly easier job having the tyre advantage over Ralph. Is within DRS as banked as ERS. Connor has a fair amount of ERS as well, so at least he can push to defend. Not sure if it's going to be doable this lap, Hammers. Still remind you, use that DRS to suck yourself up. Behind and just save your ERS for a couple of laps. Now you don't actually need to make the overtake. Gap is stabilising at the front, but so whether Hummer is not really bothering to try anymore. It gets to that point where you can just back off and you lose a couple of tenths or so a lap, but puts you more into a comfortable non-fighting position. Bog half a second behind Ralph. Let's see if we can get a decent slingshot coming out of the final turn 15. Because Ralph doesn't have a lot of ERS, whereas Bog does. I just want to keep an eye on Hammers because I've got a feeling we could Connor breaking the toe there. Let's have a look a bit further back, see what's happening with Bog. I don't think Hammers is going to go for the move this lap, no. So we'll jump back with Bog. I think Bog's going to be the same. I'm not sure he's going to go for the move this lap unless he faults to. Jeez, that was some closing speed there. It's a different someone that has ERS and DRS compared to someone who is flashing with less than 10%. Also, he will be struggling with his engine speed because you do actually lose power when you get down to below 10%. So Bog now harrying Ralph. And Hammer's doing the same. Who's that in front? That's not... I think Composite is about to be lapped, and this is what I mean. Look at that. That is great. Gets himself out of the way. He knows what's coming behind him. Blue flags. Well done. Big shout out to Composite there. Did not interfere with this battle at all. And Bog up into 4th place. Coming across the Alp. Again, Pav doing well. That was such an awkward corner to get out of the way. But he managed it. Bob Spun up into 6th. Has finally got past his teammate, Man Like Donkey. He was sitting sort of about 6-7 tenths behind for quite a few laps. Has now managed to pop it up into 6th position, so a bit of a recovery there from Bob. Hammers still chasing down Connor. Connor reducing the gap at the front down to 3.8 seconds, but with only 1 lap to go after this, it will be a long... Hammers... Connor going deep into that corner, I think struggling just a little bit on those softs and opening the door for Hammers, who says thank you very much, I'll have that. But Connor is going to be behind. Connor is going to have the DRS and ERS and takes that position back. But as I say, Hammers doesn't need to pass him on track to beat him with that 3-second penalty. But anyway, right, let's jump to Hummer, as they not had hardly any airtime today because he's just been a class above, to be honest. Hasn't put a foot wrong, was dominant in qualifying, has been faultless in the race, just gone about his business, has the gap back up to 4 seconds now. Coming towards the end of sector 2, lap number 33. Skipper pick up a 3-second time penalty there. But yes, Hummer about to start his, or the final sector of the final lap. So picking up his first pole position, and looks like he's going to bring home with his 2nd win. There we go, round the final corner there, and Hummer being absolutely faultless today, fella. Well done, congratulations on the win, and certainly going to put you back up within title contention. 2nd place going to be Havoc. Got a great race, but he's going to drop down behind Hammers because of penalties. Bogorovsky is going to come home in 4th place. 10 seconds back, but he's I think he lost it in the pit stop phase, didn't quite go for him. Ralph coming home in 5th. Bob Spun picking up 6th position in the end after sort of a mid-race crisis. 7th going to Man Like Donkey. Skipper bringing it home in 8th. Brother Adam will come home in 9th, but I'm not sure. He's got that 10-second penalty. As I say, if that was unfair, I would recommend sending in the clip a bit. Let the stewards have a look, see if it can be removed for you. So that is 33 laps completed here at Portugal. round number 6. Driver of the day goes to Hammers. So I'm not surprised, working his way from where he was on the grid up into where was he? Fourth, so we're fourth to second, so not a massive gain, but I mean still a gain nevertheless. So a fantastic victory there for Hummer, his second race victory, well deserved. Second place going to Hammers, finished third on track. Havoc Connor having a fantastic race and finishing second place on the road, but picking up that 3-second penalty, just dropping him down 1 place, but good to see that he remains on the podium. So let's run through the results. So Hummer getting his second victory, first of the season, I think. Then we've got Hammers. There we go, it's moving now. Hammers coming home in second. Havoc Connor in third. Bogorowski in fourth. Fifth place going to Ralph Albers. Sixth place, little recovery there from Bob, getting back up into 6 ahead of his teammate Man Like Donkey. Skipper coming home in 8th after struggling a bit on those mediums in the final stint. Brother Adam 9th, 10th to double. 11th composite and 12th, but by no means last, was Pavlosidor. So that brings to a close round number 6, Portuguese Grand Prix. Next week we are in Japan. At Suzuka, round number 7. We be back on a Wednesday with Division 1. Be commentated by Bogorowski, I think it is, next week. Hammers is driving for the Haas team. And I'll be back same time, same place. Well, different place, obviously. Hopefully I'll be in Japan. But I'll be back here next week. I hope you all have a great weekend. And I'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Take care. Good night.